What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. I just finished watching episode 8 of The Last of Us. My reaction is under my YouTube memberships. As you guys know, I've got 2 levels of memberships over there. Level 1 is for $2.99. You're going to get priority replies from me, special polls, and live streams. Level 2 is for $4.99. And for that, you're going to get everything that level 1 has. Plus, you're going to get all of my reactions to all of the shows like this that I watch, any movies that I'm watching, all of my uncut Try Not to Laughs. This was a wild episode. So I'm glad to see that Joel is still alive. And seeing Ellie try to aid to him, I didn't know if that, I didn't know if this was before or after she had her thing with Riley. But this is definitely probably after, I want to say. Well, you know what? It's after. So he's still alive. She's keeping him alive. They still have the horse. So she's trying really hard to keep him alive. And so she goes out, and I guess she's trying to hunt for food because they have, I don't know what it's called, whatever it is that they're eating. She has a little bit left. So she eats some and she leaves some for him. And I guess she goes out. Excuse me, guys. I am still getting over a cold. So she goes out to try to hunt. She sees a rabbit. The rabbit runs off. So she finally sees a deer. Now, let me backtrack. So we see this group of people who look like a religious group of people. He's reading the Bible. They're praying. This girl is crying. And apparently her father died. And they can't bury him because it's too cold out. The ground is hard. So they're going to bury him in the spring. So it didn't dawn on me until later, something that I'll get to. So anyway, they're running low on supplies. Everyone seems to be on edge though. So I'm like, I have a feeling that this isn't no Holy Ghost sanctified situation. Like, I feel like there's something funny about it, right? So everyone seems to be kind of like, I guess there seems to be some concern with this preacher, if that's what you want to call him, a preacher. And they're kind of looking at him like, I don't know, like they're scared or something. I don't know, right? So she's crying and he's looking at her. And at first, I kind of sensed that he looked at her like he was mad that she was crying. But then he's like, softly talking to her. And he asks her, like, he didn't finish saying the verse that he was saying. And he asks her, you know what comes next? And so she nods her head yes. And that's when she asks, when can we bury him? So they're all leaving. They're all doing their own thing. And then there's this one guy who comes out and he's talking to him. And they're running low on supplies. They're running low on, I guess, food and medicine and things like that. And so they want to go hunting later to get some more food. He said there's some guys who saw some deer. So anyway, the guy gets ready to go, tells him to go get his guns or whatever. And he says to him, I sense fear in there. And he was just like, yeah, well, a lot has happened in the last 6 months. They're all scared. And he's like, no, from you type of thing. Do you still believe? He's like, I need you to be with me. And I'm like, you know what? Something's up with this group. Something's up with this guy. I don't know. So anyway, back to Ellie. So Ellie is trying to hunt. So she's out there trying to find something, and she comes across a deer. She shoots the deer, but the deer runs off. Eventually, the deer dies. And the preacher guy and his friend come across the deer, but she's not around. So he's like, all right, well, if there's nobody around, let's just take it. We don't know who it belongs to. Let's just hurry up. So she sticks him up. She's like, don't think about it type of thing. So she threatens them, and she tells the guy, okay, the guy's telling her, like, look, you could come with us. We live in a village. There's a bunch of us. We get food and shelter or whatever, right? So she's like, do you have medicine? Tell the guy to go get it. You stay here with me and bring the deer, right? So that's what happens. So they end up going to this little shack or whatever. They make a fire and they're sitting there talking, and he's trying to get information out of her. And the whole time I'm sitting here thinking, like, something's up with this dude. Like, I don't trust him. I don't trust him. So they're talking. She doesn't give him the name, but he's talking to her, and she starts to kind of fall for the things that he's saying. Like, eventually she kind of softens up on him. And then he's like, oh, everything's meant to be. Like, there's a guy there was a girl and a guy. I don't know. I forgot how he said it. There's a girl or a guy, and the guy gets killed by this guy who's with a girl or something like that. Something confusing. So he's basically turning everything around, pointing the finger at her, like, making it seem like they know who she is or something. So she gets upset. The guy came back with what she needed, but he's got a gun to her, and he's like, put the gun down. So she takes the medicine, leaves the deer, she runs off. She runs to take the medicine, which is some penicillin in a syringe. And she's like, at this point, scared, desperate to save him, trying to figure out what she's going to do next because he can't move. Joel can't do anything. So she gives him the medicine, and she, I guess, has a knife or whatever. She's like, look, wake up, wake up, wake up. There's guys out there. If somebody comes in here, no, I'm skipping a part. No. Okay, so she goes back, gives him the penicillin. She's trying to make him comfortable. Then she's laying on him like a daughter would a father. A daughter and a father would, And that's like the first time I saw her really get really, really close to Joel. And so the preacher, he's getting his guys out, and they're like, you know what, we'll find her later. Let's go out there and figure out where she is. Knock on every door or whatever. So she sees the guys, and she comes back down, and she gives Joel the knife, and she puts it on his chest. She's like, look, there's some guys. I'm going to try to keep them away, but if they come down here, you kill them. Like, you need to wake up. Do not go to sleep. So she left with the horse. She leaves with the horse. Now, in between that, we see that back at this village or whatever, or this resort, the people are there. They're waiting for food. There's two people in the back cooking. The guys, I guess, they have dragged the deer back to the place. So everybody's kind of looking scared and concerned. So one of the guys says, oh, are you the one that killed Alec or something like that? And I'm like, I heard the name, but I don't remember who Alec is. So they're like, they go in there and they're all kind of looking concerned, and they're like, if you heard that there's a girl running around here, there is, or whatever, but don't worry about it, type of thing, we'll take care of it. And around that time, we saw that there were two people in the back who were cooking meat or whatever. And I noticed that there was a point made to see a guy coming in with a tray of raw meat. And the guy gives it to the lady who's there. She's like, what is it? And he's like, medicine or whatever. And she kind of looks at him like she knows that that's not what it is. And in my head, I'm not thinking anything of it at the moment, but I'm like, that's not. I knew that that's not what he said it was, but I didn't know what it was, right? So she's looking at it like, oh my God. So then the camera shows her putting all the meat in the pot, and I'm just like, yo, what is that? So anyway, back to the guys. So they're all looking for Ellie or whatever. Now Ellie's preparing Joel to protect himself. Meanwhile, she goes off with the horse. She gets their attention. She's running off, running off, running off. Eventually, one of the guys shoots the horse. She goes flying off. They take her back to the place. And I'm sitting here like, oh my God, what are they going to do to her? So the whole time I'm sitting here thinking, like, is he recruiting people? Are they Firefly? What are these people? Who are they? Is it a cult type of thing? So then finally, he's got her in a cage. She wakes up. They're going back and forth, and she's kind of asking him all these questions, like, why do you have me in a cage? And now he's getting really creepy. And he's basically telling her like, I know that you're um I know that you're violent. I'm violent too. I've been violent all my life. And, I know that, basically telling her all these things. And she's kind of like telling him, like, screw you type of thing. I'm not telling you anything. So he goes off. And while he's gone, she's kind of like trying to find her way out. She's trying to unscrew the fences. And she sees something that scares the mess out of her. And I'm like, well, what is she looking at? Is it a bomb? Is it something? Like, what is it? So he comes back and he's like, here, I brought you some food. He's like, don't worry. It's deer meat or something like that. Oh no. She he comes in, he's talking to her, and he's like, oh, don't worry, it's deer meat. And she's kind of like staring off. He's looking around, and there's a freaking ear on the floor. And right then and there, it dawned on me. I'm like, yo, they eat people. So at that moment, I thought to myself, oh my God, the meat that the guy was giving the chick to go cook was probably meat from a body, like a human, like not an animal. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I knew this was nuts. So he's sitting there going back and forth, and she kicks the food off. I'm just like, oh man, like this dude is everything but holy, okay? Like he's sitting here basically getting all creepy with her, telling her, oh, basically be my partner. We can rule this together. Like, I'm like, yo, like this dude is wild. So then she gets all close to him, and all of a sudden she like breaks his hand on the bar, tries to get the keys. He's like slamming her head on the bar. After that, they go in and get her. Meanwhile, the guys who are out looking for her are now going house to house looking for Joel. So finally, at some point, Joel gets the energy to get up off that mattress and hide somewhere. One of the guys finds out where he is, and before he can get to him, Joel comes out and chokes him out while he's stabbing him, kills him right there, right? So then he ends up fighting the other two guys. I don't know how he did this so fast, but they're tied up to a chair. They're all beat up. He's got a freaking knife to the guy's knee. The guy's bloody already. So now he's trying to figure out where Ellie went. So he kills both of them. And the 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 way that Joel savagely killed these dudes, I'm like, oh, he's mad. He's mad, mad. Like he killed the guy after the dude told him where this resort was. Then he went to the other guy. He was like, "Oh, I ain't telling you nothing." He was like, "Oh, don't worry, I believed him," and beat him with a freaking pipe. So now he's gonna go find Ellie. Ellie now is trying to run off because now the preacher guy and his dude or his friend or whatever, now they want to chop her up. So she ends up telling him, "I'm infected," and she bit him. She did bite him, but he didn't believe her. So she went, took a knife, chopped the guy in the neck, and the preacher guy has a gun, so he's shooting at her. She's running off, and long story short, he's going on a hunt for her. Meanwhile, Joel ends up getting to one of the houses where he sees a trail of blood, and he starts to kind of figure out where she is. He finds her bag. He's like, all right, she's got to be here somewhere, right? So Ellie the whole time is trying to run away from this dude. This dude's trying to kill her. Then he changes his mind. He was like, I want you to be my partner. She grabs like a wood chip or whatever that's still on fire. I'm like, he's gonna find you. So she ends up throwing it at him, but it ends up landing on a curtain where then now the whole thing is in flames. So they're chasing each other. And by the time he gets close to her, she finds a knife and she stabs him. And he's trying to get at her. He gets on top of her and he's getting all creepy. And she ends up reaching for the knife, I guess, that he had, and ends up stabbing him. And the way that she killed this dude, I was like, oh my gosh. That moment, I feel like Ellie was not only defending herself, but she was letting out so much emotion. She was mad, she was scared, she was upset, she was feeling every emotion that you could possibly think of. I feel like that's what she was feeling at that moment when she was killing this dude, because she grabbed that, it wasn't a machete, it was like a butcher knife, I think. And she just kept going, 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 and she wouldn't stop. And I'm like, oh my gosh, y'all gotta see my reaction. So she ends up leaving and running into Joel. And at that moment, that was such a deep moment between Joel and Ellie, because at first she was scared. She didn't know who grabbed her, because he grabbed her from behind, and she's screaming, and then he's like, it's me, it's me, it's me. And she's looking scared, and she hugs him, and he's like, I got you, baby girl. I got you. I got you. And I was like, oh, that kind of hit me, like that was real deep. And so they're off to their next venture or whatever it is. So now they're back on the trails, I guess, so to speak. But ooh, this ended wild. So next week is the final episode. I am so mad that this is going to be the final episode. I want this to keep going, but I am so far enjoying the series so very much, despite the fact that I haven't played the game. I will be playing it at some point, but I'm enjoying this every single moment. I'm enjoying it. So leave your comments down below. Let me know if you guys enjoyed episode 8. If you enjoyed my review, let me know as well. And if you haven't done so, please subscribe to my channel, hit like, share, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so you guys can get notified whenever I pop up on your feed. I'll see you guys later. Toodles.